How's it going, everybody? I am Texas Man. Welcome back to the channel. Make sure you guys subscribe if you have not already, and if you guys have, thank you guys so much for doing so. If you guys have subscribed, make sure you guys also hit that bell notification button to get notified of any and all upcoming videos coming out here on the channel. With that said, let's get right into this. This is going to be my review for all 3 seasons of Colony, the awesome and very underrated TV show starring Josh Holloway and Sarah Wayne Callies, one of those two. I'm bad with last names, sorry. So let's get right into it. This show is really special. When it first aired, I was like, I don't know if I really enjoy it. And eventually, as I continued watching and finishing up season 1, I really enjoyed it, and it was a show that I continued to watch. When season 2 and season 3 aired, there was a lot of things going on in my personal life, and so I just didn't have the time to watch it. And I just finished watching season 2 and 3 for the first time, and I was blown away. I didn't think that they could top season 1, but they did. Season 2 topped season 1. Season 3, by far, the best season, and I'm kind of sad that this show isn't getting a season 4, but it is what it is, and I'm just happy that at least we got 3 seasons of this amazing show. For those of you who do not know what Colony is, it's kind of like Independence Day, but instead of the aliens showing up to annihilate humanity, they end up putting all the humans that survive their arrival, because when they arrive, they just start murdering people for some reason. They keep most people alive, and they put them inside of these cities called colonies. So like Seattle and Las Vegas, they build these gigantic structural walls around the city to keep humanity stuck in there, and they end up making it where it's like either the human government and scientists and doctors, they help the aliens in this transition with the fact that the aliens have taken over Earth, or the aliens just wipe out Earth. And throughout the show, we learn that the aliens that originally invade Earth, called the Raps, they're actually the good guys, because they're just trying to survive, and they're trying to protect humanity from being destroyed by an even worse alien race. So that's the general gist of the show. I know that might sound confusing, but it's honestly a very confusing show. Even though I just finished watching season 3 a few nights ago, I am more than likely going to have to rewatch it, because it's kind of one of those shows. It's like once you watch once through, you're like, okay, I need to kind of watch it again to pick up on any hidden clues and messages and little Easter eggs and connect the dots a little easier. So let's talk about some more positives, and then I'll talk about the negatives for this show, and then I will give you guys my scores for each season individually. So for positive, this has got to be one of the best mystery thrillers with science fiction elements ever made. It's an amazing story, has a lot of character arcs and development. You feel invested with every single character, even the side characters. You have is this person going to make it through this episode or not kind of thing. And then there's some characters you're just like, I want them to die because they're being such jerks. And even though that's their character arc, I want them to die because they're starting to drive me insane. Another thing is, these episodes for the show, they can be 45 to 60 minutes long. So this isn't like an easy binge type of thing where you can just sit down and binge an episode because it's like 40 minutes long. These are really long episodes, especially with season 1 and 2. The CGI is spectacular, even though this show it's relatively new, but season 1 came out in 2016, so even, it's 2019, me recording this video, the CGI still looks amazing 3 years later, and it's just amazing, and I think it'll be a show that definitely ages well, considering what they were allowed to used for CGI. And there's very little CGI in this show. A lot of it is practical sets and them being actually in LA or Seattle or something kind of like that. I mean, there's definitely green screen. You can tell when there's green screen and whatnot, but a lot of the effects they tried to make it where it was practical and realistic as possible to immerse you. This show constantly keeps you on the edge of your seat. You're not sure as to what normally is going to happen. And there's certain things that I'm like, oh, okay, this is how this is going to unfold. And then, 5-10 minutes later, they turn the table, so to speak, and they make people like me be like, oh, okay, that's different. Didn't see that coming. Like I said, this is a very realistic show, and they try to do a good job at that, and they do a very good job at it. And you can believe the fallout and seeing the alien invasion and what impact it has on society as a whole. This show focuses primarily on the Bowman family, and it shows like what happens with each individual character and how they handle this alien invasion and how it's impacting everyone else in their household. And the show explores and builds on them constantly, showing you different characters, different parts of LA and Seattle and the rest of the planet while this alien invasion has happened. There's definitely a lot more action and explosions rather than dialogue and talking. I mean, especially the first season, there's definitely a good amount of talking and dialogue, but it's not a drama like Once Upon a Time where you're just sitting there and there's a conversation happening for 5 to 10 minutes and you are like, oh, this is ridiculous, it's taking forever. The dialogue is very short and brief, and it tells you what you need to know in a fast manner that you can understand, which is awesome. Will Bowman, the actor played by Josh Holloway, he's the father of the Bowman family. His journey is probably the most interesting and the one that you'll end up gravitating towards a lot more in this show. And his journey, he does a lot of dark stuff in order to find his missing son, Charlie. And he does a lot of dark stuff to get him home, to be with him. And sadly, spoiler alert if you care, he ends up Charlie only living for about 6 months or so during this show's runtime, and Will Bowman ends up watching his own son die in front of his eyes because Charlie gets shot in the back of the head by the Occupation, which is the human collaborators that are working with the rat aliens. And when that scene happened in season 3, both me and my mom cried because we were like, I was like, no. The way they set it up and the tension and the music, I'm just like, I looked at my mom and I'm like, someone in the Bowman family is gonna literally take a bullet, and someone's not gonna survive. And I honestly thought it was going to be the mother character because of how they had her positioned and whatnot, but she survives the whole show until the end of season 3. And Charlie took the bullet, unfortunately. And it was just like, wow. And then we got to see the consequences and, everyone's mental breakdown and whatnot. And honestly, Will Bowman's journey to find his son and how it leads to, sadly, Charlie's death and the aftermath of that is probably the best story arc in this whole show. And there's many story arcs, of course. Lastly, this show shows humans as both good and bad people. That shows them as double agents, working both for the aliens and the new human government in order to basically save humanity and to stay alive for personal interest. For negatives, this show is filled with a lot of PG-13 sex, especially in season 2. There is like at least 3 to 4 scenes that are just obnoxious. There's 1 or 2 in season 1. There's none, I don't believe, there might be 1 in season 3, but I think they finally realized that they were like, yeah, this PG-13 sex nonsense isn't character arc or development for the story, and so they got rid of it, which is nice. Next for negative, season 1 and 2 takes place about 95% of the time only in the Los Angeles colony, and it's not until we get to season 3 do we actually get to see a lot of bigger world exploration. I mean, in season 1 and 2, it shows just like the factory, which is like this moon base where they're building weapons for the aliens. We do get to see like other stuff, but it doesn't make any sense until season 3, and it's very brief. Season 1 only has 10 episodes. Season 2 and 3 has about 13 to 14. So, keep that in mind that season 1's really short. Next, for negative, people are killed off very fast in this show, sometimes minutes after they're introduced. Like, there's this one character, he was like an emissary in season 2, and he's like around for like maybe 5 minutes in the whole episode, and he ends up getting killed, and I'm just like, this character and the actor that plays him is very famous. I can't remember his name, sorry, but he ends up just getting killed, and I'm just like, this actor and this character could have been around a lot longer, and it seemed like he was an interesting and a very important character, and he just gets killed off because they're like, yeah, we need to get on to the next episode kind of thing, which is sad. There is a lot of political nonsense, and there's tons of political stuff in this show, and it can drag the show down sometimes and make you feel like you're watching a political drama, which I honestly don't want to watch. So just keep that in mind that there are some moments of like that, especially in season 2. So just keep in mind. Some characters, they make constant changes between being on the good side, to the evil side, to the good side, to the bad guy side, to the good side, to the bad side, way too much. There's this one character, Alan Snyder, and he just keeps changing from being a collaborator to being part of the resistance, and he's the double agent of the whole show, and it kind of irritates me because you're like, this is just his character arc, and so it's like anything he does, you're always questioning. And it also gets to a point, especially in season 3, like you don't care because you know he's going to change sides in an episode or two later. So it's kind of aggravating in that sense. The human resistance in the show constantly argues. They argue way too much, and because of that, they constantly end up making a lot of dumb decisions, and it costs a lot of human lives, which I understand, I guess, but it's like, okay, how many times are you guys going to keep just throwing body bags at dumb operations? There are some things in about 2 to 5 episodes that makes no sense. One of those being, it's like, where do the rich people that live in the green zone get steak if all the cows on the planet have been wiped out by the raps? Well, the aliens all killed the cows, so where in the world is the human population getting steak? Because unless it's like fake, I don't know of an explanation for that. Next, season 3. You probably can tell I'm only holding season 1 and 2. You're probably wondering, wait, there's 3 seasons, so where's the other one? Season 3 does not exist on disc. Yeah. So, season 3, it's only digital. So, in order for me to be able to watch all 3 seasons of the show, I can watch the first 2 on disc, and then I literally have to go to Google Play and play it digitally there, which kind of is an irritating thing for me. Because I'm old school and I like my discs. I don't like this digital stuff. Season 3 also ends up leaving you wanting a lot more. Season 3's ending has a cliffhanger, so it really leaves a lot of character arcs open, and you're like, is this person gonna live in this scenario? And what about this person? What about that person? It's just a very confusing ending. I'm like really disappointed. Now that I've seen season 3's ending, I'm just like, they need to do a season 4. Even if the producers and whatnot, they don't want to work with the USA, do it on Hulu, do it on Netflix or something, and I'll wait and I'll get it on disc, hopefully, if it comes out on disc. And lastly, there's a lot of characters from past seasons that end up like disappearing for some reason, and they never show up again. Especially in like season 2, the ending of season 2, there's a lot of family and characters that I'm like, we don't get to see in season 3, and I think that's because they were saving them for a big revelation for season 4. But because there's not a season 4, it's like you're kind of left wondering what happened to them. So It's kind of a weird thing. I can't stress this enough. They need to do a season 4. With that, guys, I'm going to give each season of Colony a 9.5. It's an awesome show. Like I said, there's a couple things that kind of narrow it down. But overall, amazing show. I highly encourage you guys to check it out. So that's going to do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys all have an amazing day, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.